Hello everyone, it is Preethi Channabasappa from Vishnu IAS. Today I am going to explain you about the important topic in economics, that is purchasing power parity. In this topic I am going to detail you about what is the meaning of purchasing power parity and how we calculate the purchasing power parity and India's position in terms of market exchange rate, in terms of PPP, and what is the utility of calculating a PPP. What is the utility to international level, what is the utility in terms of India's economic level. So in this topic, let us first understand what is the meaning of purchasing power parity. In this in this PPP we have 3 P's, that is, this P is for parity. The meaning of this parity means whenever we have to compare two things which are of the same level, we use the term parity. Like for example, if the two students having the same marks, we tell them that they are at the parity in terms of getting good marks or in terms of getting marks. So this parity is comparing the equal things, comparing equal things or comparing them by converting them into an equal platform. So then comes the purchasing power. The purchasing power is nothing but the buying power, the buying capacity of the people of the country. So this buying power, when we calculate it in terms of other currency, for example, in the international level, we tend to see that US dollar is a hard currency, is the most countries wants to buy or sell the goods in terms of dollars. So when we convert the GDP or when we convert the national income in terms of dollar and comparing that in with the US dollar or the US economy or with any economy of the country, that we called as a purchasing power parity. Let me explain you with the calculation of PPP, the concept. That is the calculation part. In this calculation part, let me take one example and explain you about how the purchasing power parity works. For example, there are two types of calculation of GDP, one in terms of market exchange rate, one in terms of PPP. I will explain this concept by comparing the two. For example, market exchange rate of Indian rupee in terms of dollar is, for example, now it is 80 rupees per dollar. That is, to buy $1 we have to pay 80 rupees in terms of our rupees. So when we calculate the GDP in terms of rupees and converting that into a dollar, that in market exchange rate, that is called calculation of GDP in terms of market exchange rate. For example, if it is, say for example, these numbers are I am taking to ease the calculation part and to able you people to understand the calculation easily. Otherwise, whenever I use any authentic source, that numbers will be in authentic words. Otherwise, these words, whatever I use 1 to like 100 rupees per tomato, these things are to make use the concepts, to ease the concept to you people to understand it better. So for example, say for example, Indian national income is 800 rupees. So to calculate the same in terms of rupees, in terms of dollar, what we will do, it will become $10 by calculating, multiplying this. So it will become $10. The national income of a country, it will become $10. Say for example, these things in terms of purchasing power parity. That is, first of all, the purchasing power parity, how we will calculate means, every year, like for 4 to 5 years in a gap, World Bank will release a reference model of basket of goods to compare the goods purchasing power of a parity across the nations, across the country. So the recent one is 2017. So when we compare, for example, purchasing power parity means, that is, there are 10 commodities in a basket. Anything, any products, same products in the two countries. So when these 10 products, when we buy in Indian rupees, it will become 100 rupees for us. when we same products in USA, if we buy the same products, it costs $2 for us, then we calculate the purchasing power parity, for $1 it will become 50 rupees. So our 800 rupees national income is there. If we calculate the same thing in terms of this purchasing power parity, it will become $16. That is 50 into 800, 80 into 1 divided by 50. 800 into 1 divided by 50. So it will comes around $16 in terms of. So we can see, you people can see the difference in terms of market exchange rate and in terms of PPP. That is, it is $16, it is $10. You people can ask me why you are taking 10 rupees, 100 rupees, you can take 1000 rupees so that it will, the rate will increase and you can carry. Usually what the general thing is that usually this national income in terms of market exchange rate will be less compared to PPP, because PPP will always have like in terms of market rate, if we calculate the any GDP or any national income, it will be like volatile because it will affected by the economy of the foreign country. Usually it is a dollar volatility will impact the market exchange rate. But when it comes to PPP, it's the internal domestic country's stability which determine the PPP value of a country. So this will be like more stable than this. So we calculate like this, the calculation part is like that. Then comes India's position. We always heard that India is the fastest growing economy and still it is a developing country. The US always blaming us in UN forums, that is India still is having a fastest growing economy and it will portray that in terms of it is developing country and a poor country. But the paradox is not rarity. Actually it is a general phenomena, because purchasing power parity is a notional thing. As we already saw, it doesn't work in the actual economy because it's only a notional thing. When we calculate the things in domestic economy, what is the standard of living of the people, how the people are able to buy the commodity. So that's a notional thing, not a real thing. So if we are telling it is growing the fastest economy, also it is having a poor indices in other indexes, means it is having the lacunas or some of the deficiency in economy. That's why those things will come into picture. So that is India's position. In this market exchange rate, I will take decadal growth. In decadal growth, market exchange rate, in terms of market exchange rate, the India's GDP growth actually hardly 1 to 3% growth we have seen over the decade. But in terms of PPP, what we have saw this from 2010 to 2020, we saw that from 3% to 10% growth rate. So in terms of PPP, we are saying that India is the fastest growing economy with this growth in the economy. So by this time, by seeing this type of growth rate, we can say that in terms of PPP rate, India is growing fast. So India's position in exchange rate, market exchange rate, that is India is the 5th largest economy in the world. Even though its GDP its share in the world GDP is around 3% to 4%, whereas US is, which is first one, having 26 to 27% of share in the world GDP. So even though we have this little or small amount of GDP share in the world GDP, we have 5th largest economy in terms of market exchange rate. In terms of PPP, we are the 3rd largest economy after US and China. So it shows that we are also a fastest growing economy in terms of PPP. So then comes the utility of PPP. So people can ask, if that is a notional GDP or if it's a notional calculation, why we have to calculate the PPP? Because as I already told you, the PPP, it shows the purchasing power of the people. How well the people are able to command the demand in the economy, and how well the people are able to come out of the poverty and have the basic necessities life in that country, particular to that country. So we can use this PPP in so many ways, like in the international level, it is used for poverty line calculation. in terms of having developing countries and developed countries calculation. In terms of having, like, UN use this PPP concept for development, to develop developmental index for all the countries. So the PPP has having so much repercussion on the world GDP. So the topic we are see what we are studying today, that is very important from the point of view of India's ambition to become a world leader. So that the topic is very important. Please have a look on the topic and stay tuned for more videos.